My project is on assisted suicide. It is defined as the ending of one's own life with the aid of a medical professional. This includes being prescribed pills by a doctor and you use them independently at home, or the doctor takes a more hands on approach and actively euthanizes them. This is used by the elderly, disabled, or terminally ill. Assisted suicide is legal in some countries under very specific and strict circumstances. These would be Australia, Belgium, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Switzerland, and also some parts in the United States. According to this graph, you can see that there's actually a very large number of Americans that support assisted suicide despite it not being legal in most of the country. Later in an article where I found the graph, it shows that 7 in 10 people, so 70%, believe in the right to legalize it. Conflict theory is a theory that looks at society as a competition for resources, and it evaluates negative effects brought on by societal factors. Now, how do these relate? For disabled people, they might have a harder time accessing assisted suicide because of the strict legal rules, and maybe doctors control their options. While on the other hand, you've got people who feel pressure to choose it because society often treats disabled people as less valuable or as a burden. For terminally ill people, the kind of care they get depends on how much money they have. So wealthier people can afford better care, while poor people might feel pressured to choose assisted suicide because they want to die with dignity. Elderly people also feel pressure to choose it so they don't seem like a burden on their families and make them go through the healthcare system, which is known for being particularly expensive. Conflict theory just shows how these groups have fewer choices and face more pressure because of the way power and resources are unfairly divided in society. Now, in this slide, you can see it is a poster for a movie. It's called Me Before You. The premise is this paraplegic man who was in an accident 2 years prior has chosen to end his life and go to Switzerland to be able to access that care, basically. And overall, it's a romance, but at the end of the movie, he makes some very good points when he's justifying his choice to the female lead, his girlfriend. He describes how he just feels like his life has ended because he can't do many of the things that he could do before he was in an accident, and society just doesn't have lots of aid towards him. They don't help him. There's not much accessibility, and he overall just also feels a ton of guilt for his parents that have to take care of him. He feels guilt towards his girlfriend, who he knows won't be able to experience the same stuff with him that she could with other people. So that's also like a driving factor for him to go through with it at the end of the movie. The next perspective is functionalist. It's a perspective that analyzes how society's parts operate, and different aspects of society exist because they serve vital purposes. From functionalist perspective, assisted suicide can be seen as a practice that serves a purpose in maintaining order and stability. It provides a way for people who are disabled, terminally ill, elderly to control their own deaths, which can reduce the emotional and financial strain on their families, and again, with the healthcare system, very expensive. For example, allowing terminally ill people to end their suffering may be seen as a way to reduce the burden on hospitals, caregivers, and making healthcare resources more available for others. It also supports the idea of personal autonomy, which is valued in many societies and is the driving factor for, like I said, 70% of people supporting it in America. And by giving people the option of assisted suicide, society addresses the emotional, economic, and medical challenges that come with end-of-life care. This reflects the functionalist beliefs that every part of society, even controversial ones like assisted suicide, exists because it fulfills necessary roles in continuing to run smoothly in society.